So I've started making more videos where I'm talking through the steps and showing you the techniques, because some of my videos were just about technique and people would ask me, can you use that technique on canvas? All the abstract techniques that I show in my videos, I do use on my canvases, and I've started using them more and more in different combinations. So hopefully you will find this interesting to see all the different steps that went into making this painting, and also all the different decisions that went into where to use these techniques and what to cover up and what to keep. So I hope you'll enjoy the video, and if you have any questions you can leave them in the comment section, and thanks for watching. I started with a thin down color, which is Payne's Gray with a little bit of black. I'm using golden fluid acrylics mixed with airbrush medium. And I'm starting by pushing it around with a squeegee from the hardware store. I often tone my canvas, and this time I didn't. So I was really just having fun with the mark making with the squeegee. Sorry, I forgot to turn off my overhead light, so you're seeing a reflection here. But even as I was watching it drying, it started to gel up a little bit. I would go back in and push it around more just to get some lights and darks and variations. Then I mixed a color that's lighter. You're seeing the airbrush medium here, which is actually white and dries clear, but it does make it look a little bit lighter than it actually is. So here you see me test it a little bit on the color, but I know it's going to dry a little bit darker. So I use the squeegee again, just layering, pushing the paint around, having fun with the mark making. Then I let that layer dry, and I mix a color that's even lighter. So I just add a little more white, once again trying to judge how dark this is going to look when it dries. Now I'm using a tool called a wide color shaper. It's like a rubber spatula. I was trying to get smaller marks or different marks, you know, really layering this, not covering up what I have already done. So what I have now is 3 different values of the same color. This works well to create depth. So it's dry now, and I put it up on the easel so I can get a look at it, and decide to go back into it with the dark color, bringing the dark forward a little bit. When I'm working with pours, and a lot of times it's flat on the table for a long time, it's very important to put the work up and look at it. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm accentuating shapes that are in the background and bringing some of it into the foreground. And then I start enjoying some dripping that's happening from working this way on the easel upright, and I accentuate that and create more drips. Okay, now I'm pulling out another tool. The brayer creates a textured look that's not completely filled in. I'm also using white here, and that is even lighter than what I already have on the canvas, the color I mixed earlier. And what I'm doing is trying to create a push-pull. Push-pull is a technique that Hans Hofmann developed, but he actually used it with color. I just looked it up to educate myself a little bit about this technique because I use that term a lot. And when I'm talking about it, right here I'm using it with value. So I'm making the white come towards you and the dark and other values recede. So I'm creating space on this abstract, two-dimensional canvas. I'm also introducing geometry here. So the background, what I've created so far is all very loose and organic, like an ocean wave. And so by creating some straight lines, it creates some tension. But I really like the brayer because I can get these straight lines, but it's not filled in. So I still have texture. Maybe you're seeing a little bit through this layer. It's not completely solid. So here I'm just measuring and marking with a piece of chalk because I want these to be straight and it's kind of bugging me. So I'm just going to fill in what I measure and mark. So doing it this way instead of using tape, I'll still get a feathered line when I go back with the brayer. So what I have here is kind of interesting, but I feel like it needs some color. So this is just a stencil. I was holding it up for shape, for color, and I was just looking through it. I also took a photo of the painting at this stage on my phone and did some digital stuff on it. Some marks, some color. And then I decided to try to unite these with a color that I use very, very often in a transparent layer. So this is, I believe, cerulean blue. Could be mixed with some phthalo blue. And I mixed it with a lot of airbrush medium, and I'm painting it it's primary cyan, sorry. And I'm mixing it with airbrush medium and painting it transparently across everything, cover the whole canvas. You can see how that sort of united everything. It doesn't feel so layered, I guess, or disjointed. So here I'm using chalk again to draw on it, and I had an idea from one of my marker drawings. So I'm laying it out with chalk to see if I would like it. So I end up changing my mind, and because it's just chalk, I can wipe it off with a wet rag. So in my studio, I have a couple inspiration boards, and here's one in the background here. And that's where I end up pulling the pattern that I end up using. This is a photograph off the internet of patterns on the top of water. And like before, I start by sketching it to see if I'm gonna like it and to get the scale right, and I'm just being really loose with these lines. And then I'm making a fluid paint here with some pigment and airbrush medium. I don't want my lines to be too rigid, too stiff. So I'm just keeping the brush really fluid, varying the width of the line from thick to thin. So at this stage, I put it back up on the easel, take a look at it, and I've mixed up a color that matches the background, and I'm softening some edges. I go over some of my line work so that it's not so bright and coming forward too much. And I work on this for a while. I just back and forth, take a step back, look at it, and soften things, use my rag, my fingers, so things are a little more blurrier, like the photo. Also here you can notice how I use scale. So at the top of the canvas, those shapes are smaller, and as they come to the bottom of the canvas, they're bigger. So once again, I'm trying to create the illusion of space and depth. I can erase the white line work easily with a wet rag as well. So at this stage, I really liked what I had, but it felt a little boring. It's obviously very monochromatic, but also it felt like a backdrop. Here I'm mixing up a color, a dark color, back to the dark that I started with. I believe I used Payne's Gray with black, or it could have been Phthalo Gray, Payne's Gray, and black. And I mix it very fluid with airbrush medium. I remember at this time I had been sharing it on Instagram and people were saying, oh, it's done, it looks great. And here I go and pour this dark color right down the middle. So I don't know, it just takes guts to maybe almost ruin something to bring it to the next level. I let that pour dry, and then I mixed one with more airbrush medium to get a more transparent transition between that dark pour and the background color, what's going on there. So like I said, with the airbrush medium, sometimes you can't tell exactly how it's going to dry. You're kind of guessing. And I don't use measurements, and I just mix it up and, you know, kind of guess to see how. So you could see there's a little bit of a transparent pour next to that dark one. Then I mixed white with airbrush medium. When you're using white with airbrush medium, it is very difficult to tell exactly how transparent your layer is. But I've had a little practice with this, and you're going to see me use a technique with saran wrap here. And if you're interested in that, take a look at my video of how to create these textures that look like ice. So I put the plastic wrap right into the wet paint, and I'm trying to get wrinkles. I make it very wrinkly when I'm laying it down. You see me pushing it around with my fingers. I always let this dry completely. If it takes 3 days, it takes 3 days. If it takes a week, it takes a week. Because I like the pattern to stay as like a raised texture that you can see. So if it dries completely, the plastic wrap will still peel off, but it will be a very dimensional texture. So I've titled this painting, What If They All Melted? And of course, I'm referring to the glaciers. And I think that, you know, the form in the center of the painting could be read as a glacier, but I'm not trying to paint anything representational. But it really works as a subject and anchors the painting and helps it look more resolved than it did when it was just this all over background. I hope you like this video. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. You can leave them in the comments section. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you.